some of you are probably wondering, why do you have your backpacks on right now when you're standing in a parking lot? Who's wondering that? Nobody? Oh, yeah. Possibly Ryan? Okay, well, the reason is just to get used to having them on, because like on Bravo and Charlie, you're going to have them on you the whole time. Normally we'll be out in the woods and stuff here, but we're not going to be in the woods today because of the wind, so you're still going to have your backpacks on. Okay, so we're going to start talking about tools. Tools are used for what? What would you use these for right here?
Manipulating your environment.
That's a good answer. How about trail clearing? You know, but I like that. Okay, so trail clearing is what we use them for a lot of times, because we're packing a litter up and down the trail, and you want to have stuff out of the way. And or we're heading up a road, and there's a tree over the road, and we need to cut the tree out of the way. They won't let us use chainsaws for some reason, even if you have your certificate to run a chainsaw in the state of Washington. They still won't let us use chainsaws yet, and it's been 2 years since I got my certificate. Anyway, I'm not bitter about it at all. SAR has 2 chainsaws. We have chaps, we have the face shield, we have the hard hat, we got the tank of fuel, we got the bar oil, we got extra chains, we got files.
You're not bitter.
But we don't get to use it. And just to go back on that, the sheriff's department doesn't even have training to use that. So I have a feeling they just don't want Todd out there running chainsaw. But they can. I don't know. Anyway, so this is how we clear stuff out of the way. We're gonna do SARGAR right now. And so I'm gonna tell you what our assignment is. Our assignment is to go over these tools, and then there's some wood over here that's on the end of the parking lot. And if anybody wants to swing an axe, use the loppers, use the machete or woodsman pal, and use the saw, we'll go over there and you can try them out.
What's the little guy?
And this right here, I'll show you that in a second. Okay, so that's our assignment. And then now I'm gonna go around and you're gonna give me a green, amber, or red on how you feel about the assignment. Are we done hurry up and waiting yet? Can we get to going on stuff? Beautiful. All right. So, tools. We have numerous different tools that we have in our trucks. And every truck has tools in it, and it should be about the same amount of tools and the same ones. This has white tape on it. 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 These all came from one certain truck. Okay? There's not a truck right here. On the mirrors and on the back of the canopies, there are the same color of tape. So if you are issued tools and you come back from a rescue, make sure that you're putting the white tool back into the white truck. When I say white, I mean that has the white tape. We have red, we have yellow, green and blue, I do believe. Okay? So what we've had, the reason we're doing that now is because we've had it where a truck shows up on a rescue and it has 0 tools, and the truck back at the building has 3 sets of tools in it that don't belong in there. So make it a point to put the tools back in the truck that they came out of. If you don't know, ask. Okay? So one of the tools we have is a miniature chainsaw. Remember I was saying I don't get to use a chainsaw? Well, I can use this, and while I'm doing it, I'm gonna go and make noise because I wished I could be using a real chainsaw. Just kidding. But it has chainsaw teeth on it, okay? They're sharp, okay? You should be wearing gloves when you're using these in the field. Okay, everybody should have gloves in their backpack. One of the things that is on the list, if I remember right. But you got to get all the knots out of the darn thing. And Every time you get a knot out, you create another one sometimes. There we go. Okay? And it's just a back and forth motion. You would put it, you're gonna hold the shovel out here in front of you. Now, this is turned around backwards, so I'm not gonna be cutting on the shovel. But you would have these over your wrist, you would go like this, okay? And you'd be cutting through whatever you're trying to cut through. We got these after Devin, go ahead and put it back down. Devin was trying to clear trees out of our way about that big one time. He almost got it by the time we got there. He was severely disappointed that he didn't have it cut out of the way by the time we got there.
And then the patient just stepped over the log that he felt like he had to remove, and we kept going, and Devin was drenched in sweat.
Devin was severely defeated. He had to go to counseling after that, all that type of stuff. Yeah. Okay.
Can I throw one thing on that?
What's that?
Sorry, I don't mean to add one. This tool of all these works really well with two people.
Oh,
if you get a bigger log, you can go across it and have one person over there, one person over there, and just seesaw back and forth like a buck saw. Works amazing.
okay, beautiful. Okay, this right here is called a woodsman pal. Okay, it has a very sharp edge here, and it has a sharp edge right here. We also have machetes, which are longer, but they don't have the hook on them. This hook is good for hooking underbrush and cutting it off, but you put the strap around your wrist, and we have what's called the circle of death, okay? And that is a circle about that big around me, so if I swing, I don't hit you, okay? So if anybody's using a tool, before you start swinging it or using the saw or the loppers or whatever, you make sure nobody's in your circle of death. If you are a bystander, like April is right now, do not come right up on me to see what I'm doing or to give me advice on how to work this saw or this machete or woodsman pal. Stay back, okay? Does everybody get that? Because it is human instinct to get right in there and help somebody. Like if I cut a branch off, April wants to come in and grab that branch and get it out of my way. She doesn't do that until we've communicated and I've stopped chopping and she gets the branch out of the way. Is that good? Everybody got that? Anybody not get that? Okay.
Todd, does it worthwhile to do a verbal, like, all clear?
Yes, beautiful. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with verbalizing. If somebody's in your circle of death, ask them to step out of the circle of death. All right? When using an axe, when using an axe, okay? All right, this is a log on the trail, all right? And it has branches poking out the other side. You stand on this side of the log and you chop the branches off here. You do not stand on the same side and chop the branches off, because what am I aiming at? I'm aiming at my leg, my foot, my chin, okay? So you use the log as a shield and cut right here, okay? And or step over, cut. Makes sense. Okay, and then if you're going to cut the log in half because it's covering the road, we got to get it off the road. You spread your legs apart, and then you chop right in the middle. Okay, all right, and then you get part of the way through, and you need to switch to the other side. Get this side. Make sure your legs are spread apart. That way, if you miss, it goes between your legs and does not hit you in the shin. Was there not a cover on this axe? Okay. When carrying an axe, there's multiple different ways to do it, but you want to keep the business end facing away from you as you're walking down the trail. All right. Everybody get that? You want to walk like this with the business end pointing away from you in case you fall. So you don't, if you're carrying it like this and you fall, you could fall on the axe. Same thing with the machete. They should all be carried, if they have a sheath, they should have the sheath on them while you're on your way to where you're going. Some of our axes apparently don't have sheaths on them anymore. Who has not used a pair of loppers? Not used a pair of loppers. Everybody has trimmed the bushes around the house, right? Okay, same thing. Keep your circle of death around because you don't want to come around and snip somebody or whatever. All right? Same thing with the axe. I'm sorry about the circle of death. Make sure anytime you're using any tool, it's the circle of death. So when you're doing lopper type stuff, you do a bunch of cutting, then you step out to the side and then April comes in and clears it out. Or I clear it out. But anytime you're using any tool, circle of death. Bow saw. Who has not used a bow saw before? Everybody here has used a bow saw in their life.
You went to tree farm last week?
Cut yourself a Christmas tree, right? Beautiful. Where'd you go?
Oh, the one just out there. Big Lake.
Big Lake. That is one of our members. He owns that. Adam Del Vecchio.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why he's not here. He's selling Christmas trees. Bow saw. 2 hands on it and back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Now, how many people have cut something and as you cut it, it goes like this and collapses on you? Now your saw's stuck. Okay? Be paying attention to that. When it starts getting tight, you need to change where you're cutting so that the saw does not get pinched in there. That makes sense? You just 2 hands on the saw. This doesn't work. Okay? 2 hands. Any questions on this? When you're carrying a bow saw, you carry it like this. Okay? You don't carry it like this. You don't carry it by grabbing onto this. These are very, very sharp. All right? So, we need to go use these right now. All right. Peggy, is our whole team here?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. All right. One of the very important things I forgot to mention before we went over there and used tools is our safety glasses. One of the things you're supposed to have in your backpack is safety glasses and earplugs. I forgot to mention you need to have your eye protection on when you're using tools. Even if you're using the loppers, because you're cutting stuff and you're pulling branches, last thing we need is somebody getting poked in the eye. Or if you're chopping and something flying back and hitting you in the eye. If you guys noticed when you were chopping, there was pieces flying off. Okay, safety glasses. Let's talk about knives now. There's different knives that you can use for search and rescue. There is your fixed blade knife, okay? Your fixed blade knife can be used for many different things out here. You can whittle with it, you can cut cord with it, you can do all sorts of stuff with your knife. Dave is going to show you something that you can do with your knife when you're getting ready to build a fire. Okay, so we got our fixed blade, and then we have our locking blade knife. We prefer, if you're going to use a folding knife, it's a locking blade knife. Peggy, why would that be?
You don't want that to fold up on your hand. It makes it look.
This knife right here does not lock. See this? It just goes back and forth. I have a cut across the top of my thumb when I was 14 years old, cutting open a seed bag. I was planting grass on the farm, and I had a knife like this, and I cut, and the blade curled back like that and cut me down across my thumb. So we recommend you do not have a knife that does not lock, okay? This one, if I'm cutting, it does not move until I press the button on the back, and then it moves. Does that make sense? Some people have Leathermans. It says on your packing list to have a Leatherman. I carried a Leatherman for quite a few years. I stopped carrying it. One of the main reasons was because the blade does not lock. See that? It just folds right back up. A Leatherman is a great tool. I mean, heck, you could cut down a forest with that thing right there, right? Or make some sawdust if you needed to. But anyway, you've got
Todd,
your...
Mike has a
You should
statement about a
upgrade
Leatherman.
because the new Leathermans do lock.
Okay, well, I'm old. And, yeah, so apparently new Leathermans have a locking blade. There you go. Get yourself a Leatherman with a locking blade. And let's talk signaling really quick. Now there's two different types of signaling that we would need. Us signaling and the subject signaling, all right? So if we need to signal back to base or we need to talk to somebody, how many people own a personal locator beacon? Okay? These are expensive and you pay $14 a month for the bare minimum account on this thing. That gets you like 14 text messages a month that you can send.
I haven't tried.
And that is receive also. So you can only send out like 7 and receive 7, and then you start paying more money. I have the bare minimum one because there's most months I don't use it at all. And then there was some rescues I've been on where I use it a whole bunch, but I end up paying for it, whatever.